Stand for the pledge, and I would ask Jeff Schieber to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeffrey. In case of an emergency, I would ask that you exit through the rear doors into the parking lot. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Supervisor Meeting.
Present.
Councilman Park.
Present.
Councilman Hanley.
Present.
Chief Dents.
Here.
Director of Finance Megan Neck.
Present.
Code Enforcement Officer Jeffrey Schieber.
Present.
Town Attorney Tina Hawthorne.
Present.
Town Engineer Steve Tanner.
Present.
And Recreation Supervisor Lauren Massey.
Present, thank you.
And Ellen.
Present.
Very
I'd like just to acknowledge the absence of Matthew English because a death. He is not going to be with us this afternoon or this evening. Also, I would like to acknowledge Mary Joseph's absence. She has volunteered her services with Queen of Heaven every year, and she's continuing that, and they're breaking down the carnival with great success, may I add. First, I'm going to call on Laura Devine. Laura Devine, HR Department. She has informed me that she has and is asking for a executive session after this work session on employee benefits matter, 2 employee matters of discipline, and 1 contractual matter. Laura, I know you're working on something right now, so with that being said, you may go back to the office. Thank you very much. And Megan, do you have anything for us today?
I do not.
Okay, if it's important for you to go back with Laura, I want you to feel free to go ahead. If not, you can stay for this. We're going to go right into the opportunity that we asked Jeff Schieber to bring the board and the town up to speed on the Birchfield situation, and he is willing to put his program together and advise the board. Jeffrey, it's all yours.
Thank you. So, you know, as the board is aware and everybody else is aware, this situation exists at the Birchfield building there. I believe Steve Tanner and his crew put together some preliminary stuff a while ago on possible reconstruction. My office, in conjunction with our town engineer and our buildings and grounds department, took a look at various things here. So first we met the board there to explain and investigate some of the situations. It was concluded that we should contact some local contractors as well. So we did that. We reviewed that report provided by the services, which detailed the things wrong and some recommendations for the building. These various contractors, we just want to make sure that what was proposed made sense, and subsequently if they had any additional input for the project, things that we could do better or differently. So it's been months, we agree. We finally have numbers, some rough numbers, but briefly let me just outline the plan that was derived to kind of repair this building back to its state so it could be functional. Some of this work involves town, buildings and grounds department possibly, to save the town some fees. It also involves contracting with contractors. As you'll see, some of the work is pretty in-depth. So in summary, right, the intent is to shore up the 2 gallery areas. Those are the portions of the building with the flat roofs, right, per se. Let's demo all the walls that are, in poor condition. Let's demo all the windows. The intent then is to install masonry. This would be done with a contractor. I'm going to refer to it as the lip in the foundation. That's the subsequent part in which we're having all these problems. So we would install some masonry units up to about windowsill height. That truthfully eliminates all wood below grade. So this problem should never exist again, right? There was an intent to repair those flat roof areas as well. There's a proposal that we received to apply a white liquid coating with some reinforcement in it. We have all the documentation for that product. That would ensure that this roof would last for years to come. So after the masonry unit's installed and the roof is done, we reframe those walls with new windows, because some of the windows aren't functioning as well. The issue as well is not only with the ground, it's also insulation. The detailed report provided by the expert there states that the insulation is poor, there's drafts, it's inadequate, et cetera, et cetera. We met with an insulation contractor. The intent would be to remove all of the bat insulation, that's the fiberglass stuff. The entire roof structure would be sprayed with foam. I'm sure Mr. Tanner at the end might agree that that's a superior product nowadays. It eliminates a lot of the drafts. It's much better in R value, so it's a much better product. That, in theory, helps eliminate some of the ice problems on the roof, but subsequently, as a result of the ice problems, we would have to roof the building. So contractors have provided us proposals to remove all the shingles, install brand new shingles, all new siding around the building. Then we deal with mechanicals, right? The mechanicals are currently installed above the ceiling in the attic, probably a poor design initially, but we deal with it. The intent is brand new mechanicals. Those are installed at ground level where they're supposed to be. The old ones would be left in place, abandoned in place there. It's impractical to demo some of the building just to get the old mechanicals out. So our intent is to leave those there. Then we have to rehab the inside. That involves the wiring, the drywall, the flooring, the doors, the trim, et cetera, right? So some of the numbers are kind of unachievable just because it's with buildings and grounds, and are they gonna do it, and who's gonna do it, and how much, right? Seemingly the rough numbers we have obtained from contractors is up in the area of about $500,000 to repair the building. That puts the Birchfield in a state in which it has brand new mechanicals, roof, siding. It's in a restored state like it should be. New insulation. Based on my conversations with Steve Amoyer from Buildings and Grounds, as well as our engineering guys, it's probably about a 6-month process, is our best guess. Keep in mind, there's always variables there. We could be removing stuff and find more items, find more portions of wall that have to be removed. So that $500,000 encompasses a little bit of overage there, just in case we discover other things during this demolition and rehabilitation. So that is my best guess based on what we know and what we can see now and who we talked to here.
Jeffrey, the big ask that we continue to get is, wouldn't it be cheaper just to demo the whole building and rebuild?
We just demolished a house in town, ironically, around the corner from the Birchfield, the old deplorable one, at 30 Grace. We received proposals for that one. I believe they were in the $16,000, $17,000 range. Right? Now, yes, that house did not have asbestos. Yes, we can probably almost assure the Birchfield does not have asbestos, but we just deal with quantity of materials, right? So if we reference, maybe this Birchfield building is 2 houses in scale, right? I'm unsure there. We potentially are looking at what, $40,000, $45,000 to demo it?
Yes.
And then looking at a rebuild, is it more cost effective for us to rebuild?
If I could ask Steve Tanner, I don't know, Steve, did your office perform anything initially for building construction or new?
We basically, our involvement was, identifying the issues at the beginning of the project, and then we referred you to a forensic architect who provided you the report that indicated what all the issues were with the building, that's what you use to go to the contractors to get, the pricing for fixing that. At that time, we had advised the board, based on our experience with the comfort station in building of new buildings and buildings of, that nature, you know, that you're probably looking at around $350 a square foot to build. And I know that seems expensive, but you also have to remember that we're talking about prevailing wage rates in a municipality building versus building just a house, which you can do for a lot less money than that. So, you know, based on the square footage that you have out there, I think that we came up with numbers that were in the $1.5 million range, if I recall. Gene remembers it was $1.9 million, based on the square footage of the building that's out there.
To repair the building on that report was about almost $920,000, I recall. That would be the repair under the report. And I'm looking at this report here, we're talking about a $500,000 repair, but that pretty much relies on our using forced labor, our own people, to do that work. And if I heard you correctly, Jeff, you thinking that that's not likely to happen, or it is?
Well, there's portions of that in which the town may be able to perform some work. As an example, here's the highlighted items here. So I believe our guys would be capable of shoring up the existing roof, that's just temporary walls. I believe our crew would be capable of demolishing a little bit of exterior walls and windows there. I believe we were going to utilize the town equipment to regrade the exterior of the building along the creek to ensure positive water flow away from the building. I believe we were going to utilize the town to throw down some grass seed and hay. Subsequently, we deal with the inside, so now it gets technical here. You know, there would have to be the addition or reinstallation of some electrical, some drywall, paint, floors, trims, and doors. So these are things that I'm unsure if we're capable of doing or if we want to do, but certainly that $500,000 number encompasses those items as well, right? So it's just a matter of, could we save money by us doing it? Surely, but can we do it and do we want to do it?
Correct, so we, as it is right now, we would have to bid the roofing, not the small roofs that would get the white spray, the ceiling, but the main roof would be bid. We would be bidding the siding, and we would be, bricklayers I think is under the bid, according to what I recall from the list, so we would have to bid that. But we would have to build I believe the mechanical, but the mechanical, we have men who are capable of installing that, so that would save us money there.
I believe the proposal we secured in conjunction with Steve Amoya has the town simply buying the materials and our employees assisting with the installation of those mechanicals, so you are correct.
So we'd be looking at, if we were able to use forced labor, our own people, then we'd be looking at up to $500,000. I remember the number closer to the bottom, but there are problems with the building, we believe, where additional work may have to happen. You can't see it right now because of the siding that's in place. So I believe we're pretty sure that we're gonna see other damage. But all of that, it seems like that demolition up to the top of the windows and those other minor areas where we'd have to do reconstruction could easily be done by our men after the brickwork, the block work is done at the base of the building.
When we had met earlier, Jeffrey, we talked with you had met with some of the contractors, we didn't meet directly with them, we dealt strictly with you. The early estimates were, around 400,000, we're approaching 500,000 now. The contractor's responsibility would be the roofing, the siding, the insulation, and parts of the mechanical. Town would be responsible for excavating, grading, shoring, drywall, all that. And Steve Amoya, did he commit to how many employees he can give?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is early on as to whether we're gonna do this or not. So I don't have that answer. That would have to come directly from Steve. If he's comfortable with his guys performing that work, which I believe they are, but it's just a matter of confirming that answer.
course, I'm sure if the town board did request it, Steve, we could work it out, even if we had to add 1 or 2 carpenters or whatever, part-time employees, until the project's completed.
I had mentioned that to Steve Moyer, Buildings and Grounds, that maybe we could get some more part-time help out in the field while his experts did the work inside the work field. Although it's timing now, so summer's nowhere near being over yet, but when it is, maybe we could bring some of the employees inside.
I'm guessing that most of this work could be done in the winter.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, after we, remove the old damaged portion and replace all the outside walls, and I think the roof is next, and the siding, we're done on the outside. And then it's mechanicals on the inside, and drywall and paint, trim, and finishes.
You could even leave siding go till next spring.
That's
If we decided to go forward with it now. Of course, the issue is going to become the financing of even $500,000, which we could do over several years from appropriations.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions other than the board members? Any concerns? Okay, very good. Jeffrey, I want to thank you for that report and all that work. Most of the questions have been answered. Financing is the number one, but at least the public knows that it is not cost effective for us to tear the building down and rebuild. So that's been clearly stated by not only the engineer, but also for Code Enforcement Office. And that was a question that we continue to get. So moving on.
Just one quick point on that too.
Yes.
It is $500,000. The plan we're putting together at this point is $500,000 less than if we had to go into the private market to do it. So I think it's something we should really consider carefully and work on the financing on.
And we do have a lot of talented men in our Buildings and Grounds department, so, and even some of our highway guys too. We have bricklayers by trade and our electricians, but going forward, I'm going to break protocol and I'm going to ask Carol, because she is the spokesperson for the Birchfield, and I want to first and foremost, while I look out here, I can only see so far, but I will tell you, I want to thank you. You're putting on a great performance this summer. The park is so busy, and the accolades are well deserved. But Carol, because you are the leader, if you will, do you have anything that you want to come up and tell us, that you have concerns that we can continue to address? I know the board's fine with us breaking this protocol. You've been, well, at the Birchfield?
Yes, we've been weeding and cleaning everything with Clorox.
He's gonna turn it on.
And cleaning everything with Clorox because we have not only mice now, but apparently raccoons as well.
In the classroom?
Everywhere. When we walked in Monday, it looked like Friday, it looked like a 2-year-old had had a temper tantrum.
Did they sign up for that class?
No, but we put them down for their volunteer hours. Okay. But this is our concern. We know you now have the information you need, and our main concern is when. Because are we going to turn it over to nature, or are we going to take it back? Attendance at the park this year has just been dynamic. We have people coming in the building from all over Western New York every time we are there. When we're out in the park, there's questions. Building and Grounds took a setback with Tommy not being there, but Matt and Liam are doing an amazing job of keeping it together. We still haven't recovered from the flood on the grounds.
Right.
We're still scraping mud and trying to repair paths and stuff. So it's an expensive venture. We realize that, but we're putting in between 3,000 and 5,000 hours a year there, and that includes work in the park. So we know that people will come up and will come through, but the building, we can't let the raccoons and the mice take over anymore, and we hope that you will find some way to possibly even stage this. I mean, they were over today, Building and Grounds was there today looking for Rocky and his friends. And the question, they didn't even know where to start to fill holes where they could be coming in.
Right.
So what is your next step is our question.
And again, we don't have that plan to even give to the public. We are waiting for Jeffrey's report. We haven't had the opportunity to talk to each other, obviously, for legal reasons, but in an executive session, we will go forward and discuss with Megan some of the financing and how we want to project that. Whether it's going to be, 7 years or not, I don't know. But I do know that the opportunity has presented itself and the decision will be made.
I guess my next question is when? So you'll be making this decision within the next month or so?
Within the next 30 days.
Within the next 30 days, we'll have something.
Answer.
The other question we would have is that we be kept informed, because we have been fielding questions for months,
Us too.
and there's just no answer. So even this meeting, we found out about it because Sue Kim's asked a question and I happened to be here. So if you could just keep us informed, it would be, we haven't received emails or anything on what's going on.
We stated it several times that this was starting back in late April,
But
that it
if you
was
could
coming.
come through us, you have our email address, or you have our phone numbers,
Well,
whatever.
it was announced at a board meeting, and the meeting minutes are
And you
there,
know
and we're
what?
online,
We're
so.
here, you have somebody here from our group at every board meeting.
Yes,
We
so
make
they-
sure we are aware of everything that's going on in town, not just our building. So any information you could give us would be very helpful in that line. And for people who may have doubts, I would just point out, Google things to do in West Seneca. Guess what comes up? Look at the Yelp reviews, look at the Google reviews, look at Facebook. We were just named number 11 in things to do out and about with kids in Western New York. We came in ahead of Darien Lake Theme Park. So it is a popular place. It is what West Seneca is about for people coming into this community. And when they come into this community, we direct them to the restaurants and we direct them to the library. So it is what's bringing people here. And we're working with the Chamber of Commerce because we are members of the Chamber of Commerce. The other question I had, are you going to seek donations?
Again, that's a matter for Megan.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about that, plan the funding, and the project starting, if we're going to use B&G, just so you know, this is gonna be part of our discussion, we can't even use them until November, because they're still in all the parks. So, and then we gotta work around snowstorms. So, all those things, and you're in the park all the time, so it will be somewhat piecemeal, because if they have 3 days of no snow, they can get in there, and then there might be 5 days of nothing but snow. So that's how they're gonna have to work it through November, December, January, February, March, because then in the end of March, they go back to their parks.
Yeah, and that's part of the communication, because do we have to be out of there? Can we be in there?
I don't-
Those are things that we have to discuss and know, so we can't have somebody knocking on our door on Monday and saying, oh, by the way, we're
But that
going to
could
go out.
happen.
Yeah, but communication will help us to make sure our volunteers are being used well to
Absolutely.
serve the community and not just chasing raccoons.
No, well, good luck to you on that. But I appreciate your comments, Carol. And like I said, we'll get back to you within the next 30 days.
Okay, and you'll
Thank
get
you
back
so
to
much.
us by email or by phone call and.
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay,
We'll
thank
do
you.
both.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And when you speak of the traffic down there, it should be noted that we are just celebrating a year in our community center and library here, and we've had over 125,000 visitors to the building in 1 year. So for all the naysayers, okay, I'm not gonna do it, but I was gonna do it. I told you so, I told you so. Okay, Chief Dens, do you have anything for us today?
I think some of my things are overlapping with Laura's, that she already talked about in executive session, so we'll see you back there.
Thank you, Chief. Jeff Schieber, do you have anything additional for us?
I do not.
Thank you again. Jacqueline Felser, Town Clerk, do you have anything? Laura Massett, Recreation Director, do you have anything for us?
Of course. July is National Parks and Recreation Month. I would encourage our residents to obtain a valid resident ID card and check out what the rec department has to offer at both low cost and no cost to our residents. I would also encourage everyone to place our park system on their summer bucket list. A list of each park's amenities can be found online or on our flyer wall. And we are holding open interviews for a part-time clerk typist on July 31st from 2 to 3 p.m. We're also collecting applications for various different fall positions. Also, they are all part-time. Please see our website for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Town Attorney Tina Hawthorne, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, I have a request for 2 executive session items, one being Birchfield litigation and the other the DEC consent order.
Thank you, Tina. Town Engineer Steve Tanner, do you have anything for us?
On the agenda for this evening is the award of the bid for the animal shelter. We did receive 2 bids, and the low bid, 154, is a little under the budget that was set about a year and a half ago at 157. That does include a town match of, I believe, around $38,000 to $40,000, which at the time I believe was budgeted for.
45.
So I believe you have all the money that you need to take care of that. We did include a $10,000 contingency in that bid, so that's in the numbers, because when you tear off the roof, you don't know what we're gonna see underneath. We did tell the contractor to assume replacing 15% of the underlayment, but you never know what you're gonna see, so that's the only unknown that we have at this point. I don't think there's really any huge concerns with that, but that's what's on the agenda for me, and once you tell me to go, we'll be contracts ready.
Well, we'll tell you tomorrow morning if it was a go. But that being said, Mr. Tanner, you don't have to come to tonight's board meeting. Stay and enjoy the beautiful weather. Councilman Hart, do you have anything for us?
No, not right now.
Councilman Hanley, do you have anything for us?
I do not, Supervisor.
Thank you very much. Emily Josephat, Chief of Staff.
Nope. Farmers market's continuing on Thursdays out front. I think being on the road reminds everyone that the market's there and people are really enjoying it this year.
We made a good move when we put them out in front.
Yeah, it's nice.
That being said,
I have one question, Emily, it's
Yeah.
Thursday Celebrate Summer, isn't it, with the Lions Club?
Next week Thursday,
Next
not
week.
this Thursday, the next
The
Thursday, the
following Thursday.
25th
Okay.
is Celebrate Summer, and the market vendors will be going back to join their celebration,
And I
so they'll all
urge-
be in one spot.
I urge everyone to attend, it's a great time.
Yeah, it's always a really busy evening.
okay, that's just me. All right, then I'm going to ask for an executive session on 1 employee benefits matter, 2 employee personnel issues, 1 contractual matter, 2, an additional item of Birchfield litigation, and also discussion with the DEC consent order.
Sorry.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We're going to move into an executive session. Thank you, everyone, and see you tonight if you're interested, 7 o'clock.